Hello there and welcome to my review of Christopher Nolan's Inception. In the run-up to Interstellar, I've been going through Christopher Nolan's back catalogue and reviewing each of his films. So for anyone who doesn't know the story behind Inception, it goes like this. Cobb is a man who works with a team of other people who basically go inside people's minds in order to steal ideas from them. However, in this film, he's approached by another man who wants him to do the opposite. He wants him to go into this person's brain and plant an idea there, plant a seed for an idea there. Hence the word Inception. Between Nolan's first film, Following, and his latest film, Interstellar, Wally Pfister has been his DP on every single one of his films, and it's not hard to see why these two people work together. The beautiful images that Pfister comes up with through his skills as a photographer, coupled with the amazing production design by Guy Hendricks Dias, is really fantastic. It creates some stunning imagery, particularly I noticed with the opening sequence when Cobb meets the character played by Ken Watanabe. Ken Watanabe's character starts speaking to him in Japanese, but I forget to read the subtitles because I'm so transfixed by the imagery that's on display, by the lighting and by the setup, the way that set has been designed. It almost feels like the great sets of the early Bond films by Ken Adam. Some really stunning work here. One of the things that struck me this time around watching the film, and I think I've noticed it before, but just analysing it for the sake of this review, I really noticed how much of the dialogue is just exposition. It's the first rule of screenwriting that you show, don't tell, but so much of this film is spent with characters telling us things, but it's never boring, it's never dull, and it always feels necessary. It is necessary in order to build up this world that we go into. And while the exposition is going on, there's always character moments there. The characters are always being built up through the exposition. So on one hand, it's a big no-no, but on the other, Nolan's, I don't know, he's done something with it. He's done something magical with it, and it works. All of the actors in the film deliver really fine performances. Leonardo DiCaprio obviously is the lead, really strong. He's really built himself a fantastic career in the last 10 years. And Tom Hardy really ignites the screen as well when he's on. It's only a small role, but everything he brings to this is just perfection. But for me, the standout role is probably by Marion Cotillard. I think she probably doesn't get enough credit actually for this film, because her character essentially for most of this film, except when we see flashbacks, she's a projection. She's playing a projection. So she has to deliver this performance that on one hand is human, but it's the memories of who that human person was as opposed to an actual human being. It's Cobb's memories of who she was, who his wife was. It's what he remembers about her. So there's something slightly off kilter about her, something slightly inhuman, and at many points she's actually quite scary, just with a look in her eye, the feeling that she brings across on screen. And a lot of that is also down to the way in which it's shot. Again, Wally Pfister and the way that Nolan directs the scenes, but we can't deny that most of it as well is down to Marion Cotillard's performance. She does an excellent job here, and she really nails both aspects of that character, the human side and the inhuman side. Speaking of the projections in this film, they are quite creepy. There's something very Invasion of the Body Snatchers about them, the way they can just turn on you at any moment. And it's a nice idea that Nolan's injected into the film, this idea that the mind builds up these defense mechanisms, really, and I love the use of it here in this film. Like I say, it really does remind me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's a scene where Cobb is talking to Fisher, played by Cillian Murphy. They're sat in a bar and things start to go a little bit airy, and Fisher's mind essentially starts to sense that it's being invaded. And as they're in the bar, all the people in it just suddenly turn. They're just like, and they just stare, and they look really creepy, look really alien, and you don't know if at any moment they could just snap and just invade your space. And I love that. I love that sense of almost dread that Nolan builds up just by us knowing that these guys are actually a defense mechanism of the mind. One of the biggest questions people like to ask of the film is Cobb's character still in the dream at the end? And if so, how long has he actually been there? At what point during the film do we find him in that dream? And for me, when I first watched it, I said no, he's not in a dream. You start to see the totem wobble at the end, but the more I've watched this film, it makes more sense to me that actually he is in a dream. And for me, I think the moment that happened is when they wake on the plane at the end. And I think this is Saito's way of keeping his promise. He promises Cobb that he will find a way for him to get back to his old life. And I think that's the way that he does it. He gives it him in the form of a dream. And for me, it doesn't make much sense for it to be at any point before that, because the whole storyline with Saito wouldn't make sense within the framework of Cobb's mind. Why would he invent this whole scenario and go through all this business? It doesn't quite make sense with his psychology. Why would he place himself there? Whereas if you look at it from the standpoint that actually Saito is a real guy, he has hired him to do this job, but once the job is finished, he has no use for him. However, he's an honourable man in one respect, so he keeps his promise by giving Cobb what he wants, only in the form of a dream, not reality. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether he's in a dream or not. What matters is the personal element. Cobb is spending this entire film trying to get back to his kids, and in one way or another he does so by the end. It's a personal story, and all of Christopher Nolan's films are about family. They have a family element to them, and as much as he likes to throw ideas at us, if you're willing to look at the personal side of things, Nolan's films are always personal. They're always about relationships between family. There's a lot of Bond influences in Inception, and Nolan is a Bond fan, and a lot of this film harkens back to films like On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The scene towards the end where they try and attack the mountain hideaway is very reminiscent of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And watching this film it makes me long for the day when Nolan will direct a Bond film, although personally I can't see it happening, because the amount of control that Nolan likes to have over his story probably won't translate to the Bond franchise, because I know that the producers of the Bond films really like to keep a tight rein on where their franchise is going. So I personally don't see Nolan fitting into that, which is a shame, because I would love to see him direct a Bond movie. The score for this film by Hans Zimmer is absolutely brilliant, as is most of the work he's done with Nolan. And a lot of what we hear in here in the score has been aped in many other films, particularly the trailer. The piece of music that was used in the trailer now seems to be that kind of, like, that beat, that constant beat just seems to be used in a lot of trailers and a lot of marketing for other films these days. So there's really some fantastic pieces of music that I often find myself listening to just on my iPod, out of the context of the film, because it is that good. This really is a film that requires multiple viewings. There's a lot of information here, and each time I've watched it I've got something different, and I start to believe something different to when I last watched it. The ending and whether or not Cobb's in a dream being a case in point, but there's often new things that I find each time I watch this, and it's like the more I watch it, the more I realise how little I know about it, but that's okay. It's that aspect of the film that I enjoy. I enjoy not having all the answers. I enjoy being able to come back to it and find something new each time. It's a real fantastic film in that regard. This was my favourite film of 2010. It's still one of my favourite Christopher Nolan films, and I give it a 10 out of 10. So if you've seen Inception, comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And my question is this: what do you think about the ending? Do you think Cobb was still dreaming, or do you think he got out? Tell me your reasons and comment below. Till next time, thanks for watching. When the film starts and we're introduced to